We got one more guest here for this Thursday edition of Bang the Book Radio. That is professional handicapper Tony George from Doc Sports. Tony, how's it going today, man?
I'm doing good. So a few minutes late calling in here. I was trying to get my bowl plays up today. It's a third round of the bowls. We put them up in three different weeks in a row here. So doing some last-minute fact-checking, getting that going, and recovering from a lot of holidaying. So I hope everybody had a great holiday. You as well, Adam.
I hope you did as well, Tony. And, the bowl season here, I mean, Brad and I were talking about this before we started recording. There's 40 bowl games or 39, whatever it is, and all of a sudden it feels like there's 30 of them over the next 5 days. I mean, we hit 19 of them in that previous segment. It's just crazy the way that they, spread these out so much, and then all of a sudden there's a ton of them.
Yeah, and I kind of weeded them out. I've only had 8 bowl plays up, and I've won 6 out of them. I haven't, I've kept it. I spread it real. I didn't spread myself thin with them. I just found the ones I thought had the best value and kind of weed them out so you can see the forest, because there's so many trees in it. And there's probably 8 or 9 more that really have some line value. That last night was a perfect example of just, guys. I was at a sports bar. It's interesting. I was at a sports bar here in Las Vegas. My favorite little watering hole. I broadcast my YouTube out of there sometimes as well, like a live deal. But anyway, it was interesting to watch the patrons in the bar on the TCU Cal game. So I just sampled. I said, why'd you take them? Oh, because they're TCU. Oh, I'm from the West, so I took Cal. And I go, well, yeah, but what was the reason you took them? Well, just to have action on the game there. I don't know. Nobody could come up with a clear-cut reason why they took a game. These are sometimes many recreational gamblers. Of course, if they buy your pick and you're wrong, then you're a piece of crap. And but at the end of the day, I found it very interesting and then you watch the game, and it could have went either way. It was a coin flip game. It really was. And there's a lot of what I call coin flip games, and I don't really like selling or getting involved in with my own personal money games I think that are coin flip, and there's a lot of them out there. So finding ones with some value and keeping it low volume, we've had 6 out of 8 wins in bowls, and 2 of them were 6-unit top plays, and they both cashed, and Army was one of them. I thought there was a clear-cut advantage. When you look for bowl games, you look for advantages. Fired their defensive coordinator, couldn't stop anybody. Their quarterback was out. And still Army's laying less than a touchdown. There's value in that number, and it's hard to find the value with so many games out there. And odds makers a lot of times, a little public perception, goes a long way. So you got to kind of read between the lines on these bowls.
All right, well, let's go ahead and hit on a few of these here and see what we can come up with for these games. And I want to start with a game coming up here on Monday, and then we'll cycle back to the semifinal games on Saturday. Missouri and Oklahoma State. I know you're a Big 12 guy. We've talked about that before here on the show. Missouri, of course, used to be in the Big 12. Oklahoma State still there. This is the Liberty Bowl. Missouri's an 8-point favorite in this game. Total on this one up in the 74 range. Tony, you got any opinions on this game?
Well, I think it's going to be a track meet. I really do, to shoot out. Oklahoma State all year long to me was kind of an enigma wrapped in a riddle, and you couldn't figure them out from week to week. They a giant killer one week, and the next week they get blown out by, somebody, and it's just like you couldn't figure out, where they were coming from. And, I think the bottom line is here, I really think this is maybe Mike Gundy's worst job of coaching since he's been at Okie State. And I don't know whether it was he toyed with the idea of going down to Tennessee, and then they threw a bunch of money at him, and then, T. Boone Pickens comes back and throws more money at him to keep him at Oklahoma State, whether he took the eye off the ball, so to speak. But I think at the end of the day, you got Drew Lock, thrown for 25 touchdowns this year with 3,000 yards. Obviously, he's probably going to be one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks taken in the draft this year, and got a healthy receiving core now. They've got a great running back, this, that, and the other. Their defense of Missouri always concerns me, especially against the spread attack. So I think they're going to trade punches on the scoreboard. If anything, I know that number is over 70. At the end of the day, I'm not willing to lay 8. I would only look at the points in this game as taken, not laying, because I don't think Missouri can be trusted laying 8 points anywhere when they give up a lot, because they do give up a lot of points. And I think that Oklahoma State's going to put up, 35 points in this game, and I probably think that Missouri can maybe put up 41, maybe more. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be it'll be an entertaining game. I can tell you that much, Adam. But I can only look at the over.
Well, and this is one of those things. You mentioned Mike Gundy and him possibly taking that Tennessee job and then circling back to Stillwater. And I was reading an article from one of the beat writers there in Stillwater or one of the other Oklahoma papers talking about how tired Mike Gundy looks, how in his press conferences he just doesn't seem to have the same level of emotion. And there's some friction there between the AD and Mike Gundy because of the program's recruiting rankings. How they're middle of the pack for a team that's had for a program that's had a lot of 10-win seasons and things like that. So there may be more than meets the eye there at Oklahoma State, and that's why it's important sometimes to pick up those local rags. And because that was a game I was looking at for the Golden Nugget, taking Oklahoma State, and just reading some negative things about Gundy and maybe where he feels the program is. It kind of kept me off of that game.
Yeah. I don't know. He's lost, I guess, for lack of a better term, he's lost a little bit of his swagger. I agree with you. Just his body language in press conferences, he seemed, win, lose, or draw, he just seemed disinterested this year. And I don't know whether he needs to, take some time off and whatever. But, the thing of it is, too, Oklahoma State lost a ton of talent last year. Mason Rudolph was an absolute stud. Washington, who's playing for the Steelers now, you couldn't, at wide receiver. They lost a ton of guys. Cornelius just, didn't look good, but, they put up 501 yards. He put up over 500 yards against Oklahoma, had 6 touchdown passes, in against West Virginia, and those are a couple of defenses, I think, that rival what Missouri's going to bring to the table. And they put up a ton of yards in those 2 games, which is why it's got me leaning over. And I'm telling you, Drew Lock and his trio of wide receivers, and they do have a decent running back there to kind of keep your defense honest. I think it's going to give Okie State a lot of problems here. But at the end of the day here, both these teams can't be trusted laying big numbers. I just think that the points are going to be in play here. And usually you say, I'll take big points if it's going to be a low-scoring game because it brings points into play. But also, if you got 2 high-octane teams like this, Adam, that are going to go up and down the field and be gunning for it, you're going to see everybody going for it on 4th down. You're seeing a lot of that already because there's no tomorrow. The only games that matter where teams aren't going to go for it on 4th down on their own 35 are going to be in the Final 4 games, where they're playing for something. All they're doing is playing for pride and to win here, so teams are taking a lot of chances. And I think you're going to see some of that happen in this Mizzou-Okie State game as well. So, again, I think it's going to be an entertaining game. But I am interested, a little bit hesitant to take the points, but I can only take them because I don't know what Gundy and his team's going to bring to the table. Honestly, you don't know what you're going to get from week to week.
All right, let's talk about the college football playoff semifinals here. Oklahoma and Alabama is the first one we'll talk about. Again, it is the late game, but the first game by rotation number, and that's usually how I try to sort the games with the guests here. Alabama's a 14-point favorite in the Orange Bowl. Total on this game, 77. Came down from 81 where it was sometime last week. Any thoughts on this one, Tony?
Well, who wants to get in front of that freight train? You've got a quarterback, Tua, there at Alabama that was released. I think I read a press release yesterday that said he's about 85%, which means he's probably going to go. I'm telling you, the thing that worries me about this, you could easily see Alabama having 50 points in this game. I really could, because Oklahoma's defense is that bad. They're just not a good defense. They're, 1-point win at West Virginia where they gave up 50. I mean, when you're giving up the numbers they gave up to the teams that they played this year, in the Big 12 is a little bit different than the SEC, and the fact that if you want to win the Big 12, you just got to outscore everybody, because nobody really brings any defense to the table in the Big 12 anymore. Oklahoma used to. They fired their defensive coordinator a third or fourth game into the season. Mike Stoops is gone. So Saban is not going to let up on the throttle if he gets them down. You got the Heisman jinx working against you. Murray is a fantastic player. This is probably the most prolific offense that Alabama has seen all year, bar none. So I think they'll expose Alabama's defense a little bit here because you just haven't seen something like this. Given that, Alabama's also had 3 weeks to prepare for it. And I'm sure that Saban will draw up some stuff to confuse Murray a little bit on defensive schemes and different looks they're going to give him. You really can't blitz the kid, because if you miss on the first tackle in the blitz, he can take off and run at 70 yards. So you really got to they're going to be a lot more concerned about containing him versus trying to stop him or rattling with blitzes, because he's just too quick and too good for it. So at the end of the day, though, with a defense that bad against a team, Alabama is the best team in the country. They're 2 touchdowns better than anybody in the country, even with their B-plus game, and the other thing, too, is even when they're down, and they have been a couple of times, even when they're down, they find ways to turn it on when they have to, get it done, just like the SEC championship game. I just don't think Oklahoma has seen a defense like this. And at the end of the day, and I don't have any action on this game whatsoever. I think Alabama beats them by 20. That's what I think.
Well, and something I want to touch on then, obviously, you're in the business of picking winners for yourself and for your clients, and it's got to be tough to not put up plays on these massive games, because that's, your clients get upset. They want action on Oklahoma, Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson. And the thing is, sometimes there's just no value in that game.
Yeah, and, a lot of times these big marquee games, what I'll do, I have that YouTube channel I tell you about all the time on the show. I've got over 6,500 daily subscribers. In games like this, I'll just say go to the video, because I'll put it out for free. I'll give an opinion, but it doesn't have any value to me in terms of a premium play. Not that the free plays are junk, because there's 60% over 500 plays on that YouTube channel, which is unbelievable. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to sell winners and not picks, and most of the people that have followed me over the years know that. But also on the other side of the coin, Adam, because I'm on the other side of the fence than you are, you're not selling selections for a living as a handicapper. I can tell you, sales, if you just want to look at it from a business perspective, are not always. Everybody thinks, oh, it's a Super Bowl. You're gonna sell X amount of dollars over the weekend. A lot of these big games, like the national title games, the Final Four, national title game of football, the Final Four in college basketball, where it's has a huge public interest. Most guys or gals, there's some gals that wager. Most guys or gals use their own opinion for those games. The only thing you're selling, like during the Super Bowl, they want your prop plays. I sell more prop plays than I do side and total, because everybody's made up their mind on who they like, and they're going to take the team they like in these big games. I like Oklahoma. I like Alabama. I like Notre Dame. I like Clemson. That's who I'm taking. I'm not going to buy that play. It's a singled out marquee deal. And so the public approaches, from a buying perspective as a handicapper, they approach these big games a lot different than they do week-to-week cards. They're much more interested in what I'm taking in Week 17 on a tricky Sunday in the NFL than they are Alabama, Oklahoma. They're going to make up their own mind and bet it that way.
All right, so let's talk about the other semifinal game here, then Notre Dame and Clemson. You've got Clemson, a 12.5-point favorite. That's pretty much wide. Total on this game, more reasonable in the 56.5 range. How about this one, Tony? Any thoughts on this game?
Well, I've got a play on this game, but at the end of the day, I'm thinking one of these two games has to be competitive, and I'm not so sure it's the Alabama game. I think it might be this one. That being said, do I think Clemson could put them away? Yeah, I do. But also in this game, there's also an opportunity for Notre Dame, who quite frankly has a better resume from a scheduling perspective coming in here. And then you've got a suspension there on Clemson, which is going to hurt them a little bit. So I tell you what, there's a lot more factors in this game here that are handicappable, that a lot more variables that can tip the scales one way or the other than Alabama, Oklahoma. That's how I feel about this game.
All right, so let's transition over to the NFL side of things then. Week 17, playoff scenarios, teams sitting out, lame duck head coaches, so on and so forth. What is your approach to Week 17, Tony?
Pretty much like the preseason. You maybe find one hidden gem in there, one game with meaning for both teams where you can use some statistical things to your advantage. There are certain teams that have gained some momentum. I'll give you a perfect example, and it's not a game I'm going to be on. But a team that's gained some momentum, that's playing for something, and a perfect example is the Philadelphia Eagles this weekend. Washington Redskins, they're done. They're not going anywhere. They got a bad quarterback situation. They've got injuries all over the board. And you've seen Philadelphia now beat a couple of really good teams, and Nick Foles is, he's like, hey, honey, hold my beer. Here we go again. He's right back in the same position he was last year, and they've responded and played a lot better. And, they're laying a little less than a touchdown here, and they're playing for an outside shot at the playoffs here. I mean, they need, I think, Minnesota losers. I haven't looked at all the scenario. I'm just starting the NFL. I've got 2 games circled I'm going to take. I'm going to avoid the rest. But I did take a short look at this one just as an example. You have a team with momentum rallying behind a quarterback. And bear in mind, this quarterback, I believe, was the MVP in the Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken, last year. Won the Super Bowl for this team. Got handed the reins and responded, like a very good quarterback. He's got a lot of experience, and they're playing for something. I think that's a team that's really going to bring it to the table, that's got momentum. I'd like to see the number around 4.5 or 5, honestly, but I think they're probably 10 points better than Washington this weekend. So there's one that has some value in it that a team's going to show up and bring it.
Well, and that's the thing is that, a lot of this stuff is priced into the line already. And then you have to decide, if it's priced in enough to keep you off of the game. And that's a perfect case there with Philadelphia. You look at a game like Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, for example, it's priced into the line there that Pittsburgh absolutely has to win that game, but they could win that game and it still may not mean anything. So if they're looking up at the scoreboard or, someone's getting updates on their phone about what Baltimore is doing with Cleveland, it's really hard to lay 14.5 with Pittsburgh, who may no-show in the second half if nothing matters for them. So, for Philadelphia, I think it is one of those things that Foles, they look rejuvenated. For Pittsburgh, they may just pack it in and fold the tent in the second half. It's a great week for live betting, really.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. This is a week for halftime lines, that you're going to have to pay attention to all the games on your DirecTV package, which I do. I have multiple TVs, I'm even so the screen's a little bigger. I can kind of move my eyes around and see what the lines are coming out in the second half, and that's where you make the money. You just kind of wait and see who's going to show up and who isn't. I don't think that Cincinnati's probably going to show up. Pittsburgh is poorly coached. I'm sure we have a lot of Mike Tomlin fans. Pittsburgh's a national public team. Everybody likes there's a ton of Steeler fans out here, believe it or not. Even back in Kansas City where I have a ton of Steeler fans. But I'm going to piss somebody off. But I think he's done a piss poor job of coaching that team this year, and whether he's lost them in the locker room going into this game and whether they're deflated, seeing some results come in. If I was a coach, I'd isolate them from any television or any news media updates and have them solely focus on that game. If I was a head coach, obviously not smart enough to be one, but it's going to be real interesting. I've seen Cincinnati play here recently, and they just give a half-hearted effort, in the last three games they played. And they've got injury issues and all kinds of issues at Cincinnati. And I'll be shocked if Marvin, if Lewis is on Black Monday, if Lewis is still around. It's time for a regime change there at Cincinnati. And, maybe Pittsburgh can come out. And I guess Connor's coming back this week, which helps them a lot. So, it has no value up front. Halftime, you might find some value.
I want to elaborate a little bit more on the coaches thing just to finish up this segment, Tony. I think in college it's a big deal because these coaches and coordinators are sitting in a kid's living room, parents, a kid who's really transitioning from, being a teenager to becoming an adult. It's a lot more emotional when a coordinator leaves or a coach leaves, something like that. Do NFL players give a shit? I mean, everybody's an adult. Everybody understands what's going on, knows the business. Do you think NFL players really care that much with, sending off a lame duck head coach a winner or trying to save somebody's job, something like that?
I think a lot of them are trying to save their own ass, honestly, from a player's perspective. A lot of these guys have incentive clauses in their bonus that they're close to, to pay them more money. A guy might need 7 or 8 tackles, or he might need a pick, or running back might need, 87 yards to reach a $200,000 bonus or whatever. And they're professionals. They're all professionals. I mean, at the end of the day, every Tuesday these players get a game check. People, like last week they were saying, well, I think I said it on your show. I said Aaron Rodgers going to play or not going to play against the Jets. If he's healthy, he gets a $1.4 million game check every Tuesday for the previous week. If you're a franchise owner, you're telling the coach he's playing, I'm paying him. So they're going to bring it. And, a lot of these teams that had disappointing seasons with good leaders at the helm, so to speak, especially, on the field, like an Aaron Rodgers, I think they're going to bring it this week against Detroit. I mean, I just think that's a team that's, let's go out on a high note here and let's build momentum for next year and let's put these guys away. And so, there's a lot of different variables involved in these games. But at the end of the day, I don't think, on the other hand, I really can't say they throw in the towel, but there's so many teams you see that, like in the second half of a game, they just don't come out with whatever the coach was telling them they're not responding to. That's why Hugh Jackson got fired this year. The team, when they were having issues and struggling and come out with no fire in their belly in the second half, you have a coach you've had a coach that's lost a team, and sometimes it seems like the players don't do anything above and beyond the call of duty. One team that I've noticed this year that's really responded to their coach in a bad year, that probably has some value here, is the Buffalo Bills. I think the Bills, they're trying to break in this Allen kid. He's doing everything he can possibly do to win football games. They've given almost everybody they played a ball game. Their defense has played well. Their offense has not played well. And here you have a team that's, got a 5-win team taking on a 7-win team here that probably holds some value of -4.5. And they are at home, but that's a team I've noticed that win, lose, or draw, that those players have played really hard for that coach the entire season. And I think that you can look at a couple of teams like that hold some value, this year. And I think that the Bills might be one of them, as we're talking about, this scenario about players playing hard and giving a rat's ass. Buffalo might be that team this weekend that puts up a double-digit win because the players have just bought into the program and they're on a learning curve. And you better watch out for Buffalo Bills next year, I can tell you that.
Tony George, professional handicapper over at Doc Sports. What's going on over there right now, Tony?
Well, we got our bowl releases coming out today at 5 Central over there, the last batch of bowls. Like I said, we're 6-2. We're on a wonderful run in the NBA. I've got a top play in the NBA tonight, Adam. I've done. I went on a 21-8 run, and now we kind of been hitting and missing here. But I found a game tonight that's got a lot of value. And, of course, college basketball started out really well for us. Last 3 Saturdays, 11-2 against the spread documented, and playing a lot of sharp sides out here in Vegas. So be sure and get over to DocSports.com, check it out. Every play's guaranteed. And, of course, check me out on the YouTube channel. My NFL line report comes out today. I've got a lot of subscribers over there. Just type in Tony George /Doc Sports over there, and you can check out a daily video, and we give everybody an update on what's on the site over there as well.
Well, with college football coming to a close here very soon, we'll be doing some more NBA and college basketball with Tony on the segments. So definitely something for everyone to look forward to as we head on into the new year. Tony George, Doc Sports is the website. Follow him on YouTube as well. Appreciate the time, Tony. Thank you so much, man, and we'll talk to you again next week.
We'll talk to you again, I believe. Is it next year?
Yes, sir, next year.
Talk to you next year, Adam.